Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jennifer O'Neill with ITW Consulting. I'm so happy that you can join us today. I'm so excited about being able to interview Sue Chara. So you'll be hearing from her. We're going to be talking about asset management, which she is a pro at and stuff. Let me give you a little bit of history of her before you get to know her. She was born and raised in Waterloo, Iowa area, and obtained her bachelor's degree in finance and minor in accounting and economics for the University of Northern Iowa. In 1985, she moved to Colorado and started her corporate career in finance administration and support centers. And after serving several staff positions, she moved into senior management with process improvement, system implementation, and operations responsibilities for several industries, including telecom, software development, and healthcare. When she left her most recent corporate position, she was director of shared services for a 100-plus person team with an annual budget of $6 million. Her real estate experience is what we're really interested in, though her financial background really supports it. She began in her teens when her parents converted their primary residence to a rental, where the mom and her siblings were responsible for cleaning, painting, minor repairs, anytime the property was vacant. And since 1993, she and her husband, Anthony Chara, have owned and managed multiple single-family homes in multiple states, utilizing forms and processes that they developed to help streamline that. In 2004, she began assisting Anthony with his apartment mentoring and investing businesses as VP of operations. And he has a fabulous program on that, which maybe at another date, if you stay tuned, you can hear about that from him. During the past 5 years, in addition to managing their personal real estate assets, she has also performed asset management duties for additional properties by other investor groups. Most recently, they have ventured out into international investments, specifically greenhouses in Paraguay. How interesting. Says she was married to Anthony and they live in Denver, Colorado, and they have 2 Alaskan Malamutes, Mally and Daisy. In her spare time, she enjoys volunteering with Habitat for Humanity and climbing 14-footers in the Rockies. So, Sue, I'm so happy that you can be here with me and enjoy this and help share a little bit for people to learn more about what asset management is and find out if something they're interested in wanting to learn to do or be, and just help them with their investments. So welcome and thank you.
Hi, Jennifer. Glad I could spend a few minutes with you this afternoon.
Me too. How is the weather there in Colorado?
You know, we got fall back this week. Last week we had a little bit of winter with some snow, but that's all melted. And this week it's fall, but typical Colorado weather, because now they're saying snow next week. So kind of that season where we might get fall for a few days and then winter and then fall again.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, well, good. All right, well, let me go. An asset manager, what is it? And I know Wikimedia says that asset management refers to a systematic approach to the governance and realization of value from the things that a group or entity is responsible for over their whole life cycle. It may apply both to tangible assets and to intangible assets. Well, that's a little dry for me. So Sue, maybe you can tell us a little bit more what asset management is and what asset managers do.
Certainly. I agree, Jennifer. That definitely was dry. So, and specifically, asset management in the real estate world does talk about managing that real estate asset. It could be single family homes, it could be multifamily, it could be commercial, it could be storage units, but you're basically managing that asset to ensure that it is performing according to the plan that that either the investors or even if it's an owner. For those of you, if you're used to managing perhaps your own other investments, you know, they do advise that you look at your whole portfolio once a year and look at maybe that it's meeting the goals or your individual goals. So it's on a similar basis that you're actively managing that real estate asset. I kind of tell people you're sitting between the investor, the owner of that property, or that property property manager. We highly recommend that you have a property manager in place. So you're working with that property manager. You're kind of that orchestra conductor, general contractor, making sure that the goals of that property are being met.
Great. So that's a great lead in, because people are probably going to ask, what's the difference between an asset manager and a property manager, and even a managing member in an LLC? I mean, how does the task difference, or are they similarities, or a focus, or whatever? Could you elaborate more on that? Or
Certainly. So the property manager really is responsible for the day-to-day activities. They're going to make sure that the units, the property is being leased up. They're going to make sure that units are being shown. They're going to be collecting the rent. They're going to be, if they have to deal with notices, evictions, they're going to be really doing the day-to-day items. The asset manager then is going to receive that information, that data. Asset managers kind of looking at that data, spending time analyzing that data, and then giving that feedback back to the property manager that says, hey, let's, this last couple of months we haven't, our occupancy has kind of increased. So let's, perhaps we need to initiate a new program such as free rents. And ideally your property manager will be bringing those suggestions to you. But if they are not looking at that data, then it's kind of the role of that asset manager to make those suggestions based on that data, based on that performance of that property. And then that managing member, the asset manager typically is reporting to that managing member. And or the owner of that property. So he or she will be providing the results of that property. They'll via reports, management reports, they'll be talking about initiatives that they may be working on in this next quarter, the next year, and then getting feedback from that managing member with regards to, do they agree with the approach? Perhaps maybe they have a different idea as far as how to minimize landscaping expense.
okay, oh great. And in your experience, has there a story or tell that you were saying that you've, as being an asset manager, you helped a managing member change something within their, how that was managed, the property, to bring it to what they had told you they wanted to accomplish?
Oh, certainly. I guess the one example that comes to mind is the existing asset manager that was in place before I was brought in. Just the communication had kind of, it just failed between the managing member and that asset manager. So and that's another key characteristic of an asset manager, is you have to have great communication skills for both working with that property manager, but then also providing that feedback, providing those updates to the managing member. So basically when I came in, just to be able to provide reporting and being able to answer questions, at least the feedback that I had received initially was that it was like the breath of fresh air, because they felt like now their asset had visibility, so they knew kind of how things were performing.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. So when you talk about, I guess, some of the tasks that an asset manager does, you talk about reports. Is that like monthly reports, quarterly reports? Can you elaborate? Or what are some of the tasks that people look at, especially if they want to interview for an asset manager, to look for or expect from one?
And I always tell people, one size, like any property, one size doesn't fit all. So it really is dependent upon the property itself. It depends upon the goals for that property. But typically, I'd say at a minimum, that asset manager is going to be looking at, because kind of the lifeline of property is the income and then the expenses. So they're going to be running reports. Ideally, I prefer to get access to the system, inquiry only access, so that I can go in on day 6 and see, if all my rents have been posted, or how many people will we be posting notices for. So that's kind of my preference, because that way I can look at reports and look at that property performance 7/24. I don't have to wait for the property manager to give me a report. And then if I do see something that perhaps I don't understand, or I don't really like maybe the direction or what's going on, then I can send them a message to say, hey, can you look into this? Can you help me understand this particular item? But at a minimum, most professional property management companies are going to provide you with a standard set of monthly reports. But again, depending on what it is that you're looking at, to wait until that 5th week or that 6th week to look at those reports, sometimes it could almost be too late to put a program in place. But it's still better than not getting those reports at all, as in my previous example.
And so that's working with the property management. What about working with the managing member? Are you part of any like distributions with the different entities, or is that also a role or task that the asset manager does?
Yes. So typically what then I'll do on a monthly basis, then I do get those standard reports from the property manager, and I'll review those, send any questions back that I may have to them so that I can, respond to any questions that I think that the managing member may have. And then I will send those on to the owner and or the managing member. And along with one of the key reports is just the budget to actual report. So a lot of that time during that time period, getting that report package ready for the managing member also includes variance analysis. So where you're looking at the actuals compared to what had been planned, and providing a narrative on that.
Oh, great. Okay. So then, do you have to have a license to be an asset manager? Are there any type of certification?
I am not aware of any license or certifications that's necessary. At least I've never heard of anything. I'm not aware of anything nationally. I'm not sure if there's any specific states that have that, but I've never heard of anything. The one component I do think that is critical with being an asset manager is that the asset managers understand their fiduciary role. I tell people the owner, the managing members is kind of like they're handing you the keys to this asset. And, it's not like handing you the keys of a $20,000 car. These assets could be 500,000, 1 million, 200, $5 million. So the asset manager needs to understand that this is a fiduciary role that they're serving with these managing members and the owner of that real estate.
Okay. Okay. And so I guess you've explained somewhat already a little bit on what makes a good asset manager and what doesn't. What are some qualities that you really think makes a good asset manager if people are looking for one, and if they wanted to interview somebody to become an asset manager?
Yeah, we talked a little bit earlier about good communication skills. I do think not being afraid of numbers, analytical skills, because you are looking at reports. It's kind of like sometimes I felt like maybe I was an auditor, because you're looking at reports to determine, what did happen in the past, and what is these numbers telling you, and what, can you improve or increase revenue or decrease expenses based on what these numbers are telling you.
Yeah. I have to say I've experienced that as well, making sure they're classified in the right space if you have a different way you want it to go, right? Yeah.
Right. You need to be, the other item would be just perseverance, because there's things that happen with real estate items. Even with property managers, you're dealing with a wide variety of different personalities. So I kind of tell people, when you kind of sit down to work on your budget and you set that in place for the year, don't expect that those things are going to happen as you intended, because things will come up. But it's very rewarding if you just stick to it. There's projects or initiatives that may just take longer to happen, but once they do get in place, they're very rewarding, and you can reap the benefits of those programs. So perseverance is another key quality.
Okay. Okay. Well, then, if you are asset, how much do asset managers get paid, or how do they get paid? I mean, is it a flat fee, or how does that work?
Great question. Typically, it's they getting paid a percentage. It's all negotiable. One thing you need to make sure is that you do have a contract in place. I mean, you're getting paid to perform services, so you need to make sure that you have a contract in place. The very first opportunity that I had outside of my husband's and mine own real estate items, they didn't want to bother with a contract. But I tell people, I heard this great quote from Gary Keller with Keller Williams, that he says any agreement is really a disagreement, because you really only need those agreements when things don't go so well. So you need to just understand how things, if you do need to make changes as an asset manager. But the key component of a contract is understanding exactly what you will be doing for that property, and what is not covered under those kind of statement of work items with that contract.
So in that regard, I guess in some of the contracts you can have as an asset manager, like you mentioned, the monthly reports and supervising the property management, you could have as an additional something if they want your help with refinancing or selling the property.
Correct. That could either be included in that fee, or if that's, say, if they're anticipating maybe they're going to sell that property in 5 years, then maybe in your contract today it's not included as to help with that disposition of that property. But you could say, hey, when you get there, we could either update the contract, or I could based on an hourly fee for those additional services. But so going back to just the contract itself, what I've seen, it's typically a percentage of revenue. And again, it's negotiable. It really depends on what is needed of that property and of that asset manager. And just to throw out some numbers I've seen is anywhere like from 1% to 3%. And in the past, what was typical was revenue. However, our recommendation is that you negotiate and have that asset manager look at more of the net operating income, because instead of just a revenue focus, your net operating income as a percentage for your payment, that makes that asset manager consider both the income as well as the expenses.
Okay. Well, what other thing would you like to share with people about being or having an asset manager? Is there anything that maybe we haven't covered that you would want to let people to know that it's a great field to be in, or something, how to get into a deal, or anything that you would like to share?
Well, maybe just a couple additional thoughts. Some people ask me, how do you get started? And my advice is you just have to start. Sometimes that could be networking. Sometimes if you know of an asset manager, you could reach out to them, take them to lunch, take them to dinner. You could even offer to work with them, kind of volunteer with them, so that you kind of get hands-on experience with the existing asset manager. If you know an owner of a property, like I said, the fee is negotiable. You could even negotiate maybe like a half a percentage for the first 6 months, and saying, hey, I understand I'm new in this area, but if you give me a chance, I'll give you a reduction in the fee, and make it a win-win for all of us. Just some initial thoughts as far as how you get going, but it really is just, in my mind, just letting others know that this is what you do. So it's about networking. You go to real estate meetings and you say, I'm an asset manager, and then you build a network of other asset managers. one of the things I feel so fulfilling is just from learning from others. Because as I mentioned earlier, no property is the same. So it's just awesome, usually about once a year or twice a year, some of the other asset managers in the Denver area will get together and just kind of share notes as far as what's working, you know, maybe some difficulties that I'm having, and kind of do some brainstorming sessions. So it's a great group, a great profession. And we always say that the biggest reward is when you see the property performing and you're able to reward the investors with doing distributions, and just see kind of the strategies that you're putting in place, that it is making a difference on those properties. And even training some of the employees, while that's the um, responsibility of the property managers, but I've worked with some of the leasing agents and kind of gave them some phone scripts, and you know, then I'll get feedback. It's like, oh my gosh, that really works. So that's very fulfilling as well.
Oh, great. Well, in that regard, because you talk about getting training and just getting started, the great news is that you actually have a course coming up, that you have a 2-day event that you're going to be teaching. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And so if people are interested, and I'll put up a slide that shows the stuff, but could you give us a little bit more information on that if people are interested and want to take your course?
Awesome.
What it covers?
Yes, that class. So we're going to do it December 5th and 6th. Our plan right now is to do kind of a combination between a live class in Denver, Colorado, as well as a virtual class. Right now, I think most of the states' kind of numbers are going up. They're going in the wrong direction. So we may be switching that to a all virtual class. But basically, it's a 2-day intensive class on asset management. We go over property management contracts. We go over clauses that should be included in those contracts. We go over working with contractors. We go over, you know, basically have great discussions around how to to increase revenue, decrease expenses. It's just an awesome 2-day event. Let's see what else. We talk about some of the added or the additional services as far as if someone is looking to sell a property, you know, some of the typical tasks that may be involved with selling a property, buying a property. We talk about some of the year-end roles with regards to making sure that the paperwork is sent to your CPA on time, 1099s, just cover everything pretty much from start to finish with regards to the different duties that an asset manager may have to do.
And I can attest, I took your course last year and it really helped, gave me more knowledge on how to be a better, more quality asset manager. I know one area you touched on was insurance, helping to maybe renegotiate insurance on a property and find a better insurance thing. And then also the networking there, people that you're meeting that are in the field, like you had mentioned, and to get the support and connections. So yeah, it was an excellent course. I so much enjoyed being able to attend it last year, and the knowledge and the information that you shared and gave us was really, really great. So I'm going to put your information up on there. So if people are interested, they can go to your successclasses.com website. The date again is December 5th and 6th. There is an early bird price. So if you are interested, I would go ahead and sign up for it now. You can also go to contact Sue at successclasses.com. And just check it out. And it's a wonderful program, and she does an awesome job on it. So if you can go, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. And let me see about quit sharing that then, and let's finish up with Sue here. So hold here on a second, Sue. I got to get you to quit sharing, or how I can stop this. So I apologize, people.
Jennifer, while you're doing that, I just had a thought too. If anyone does have questions, I'll give you my our office number. You could just call our office if you do have any questions with regards to the class itself. So that office number is 303-745-5500. 5525 303 745 5525.
And I am going to have to, that's great, Sue. Thank you so very, very much. I am trying to find the button so I can quit sharing the screen. So hold on a second here. Nope, I don't want to leave the meeting. I just want to quit sharing the screen. So I apologize, Sue, that we're off to the side as I figure this out.
Sometimes our technology, right?
Yes, it is. Let's see. Oops, I think I just lost you, Sue. Hold on.
Nope, I'm still here.
Okay.
I can see you.
I can't see me now. Oh, let's see here if this is better. Well, I apologize to everybody. I cannot figure out how to get the screen share off. So anybody does. So if you know, if you want to help me, I greatly appreciate it. But besides that, it is an excellent class. And if you can go, I highly recommend it. Anything else that you want to share real briefly before we let people go and I tell them where they can find this information?
And actually, the couple of final thoughts. So the class does cover if you're currently an asset manager and just want to learn some different things or kind of learn what other people are doing. If you're a managing member and maybe you're tired of doing some of this day-to-day work and ready to hire someone else to do it, it gives you a great insight with regards to how do you manage that asset manager. And then finally, if maybe you've heard or sometimes I've had where spouses will volunteer their other spouse to say, you should be an asset manager. So if you're not even sure what an asset manager does, but I am intentional in kind of making this 2-day all-intensive class kind of be for someone that just wants to know what an asset manager does, someone who is really looking to make it their profession, someone who's currently the asset manager, or if you're a managing member and you're really ready to hire an asset manager. So it will work for all of you guys depending on kind of your perspective that you're coming from.
Oh, great. Wonderful. And I learned how to stop the screen sharing, so we're back.
I saw that. Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed this session and enjoyed getting to know Sue and what she brings as an asset manager and what an asset manager is. You can be able to watch this. I'll be posting this on LinkedIn and my YouTube channel. So if you're interested, just click on that. And if you're interested in Sue's class, which I said is amazing, I took it last year and I highly, highly recommend it, then sign up for that. And again, it's this coming December 5th and 6th. So please do that. And Sue, I just want to thank you so much for helping on this. I really, really appreciate it. And I also, one of the things you like to do at the end, it's something personal to you that you like to share with people. Would you like to share that with people now? At the end of
Sure. So yeah, just a couple final thoughts with asset management. Again, it has proved to be a very rewarding profession for myself. I really enjoy. It's kind of at the challenge to see how you can improve a property. And we talked earlier about just the importance of the fiduciary role with that property. The last item, just as a reminder, is to take care of your number one asset. And you may ask, well, what is that asset? Well, it's yourself. So we can all get very busy in life, but especially I think these challenges with COVID and everything is just a reminder that it really is important to take care of yourself and your health. And even perhaps a role model for your family. So there's a quote from Jim Rohn. He says, take care of your body because it's the only house that you have to live. So anyway, just take care of that number one asset, which is yourself.
Oh, great. Well, thank you. Again, everybody, thank you for joining us. This is Jennifer O'Neill with ITW Consulting. And you can find me on LinkedIn and you can find this and record it. And again, if you can take the course, I highly recommend it, but I hope this information has helped you. And I'll be sending another podcast. Haven't decided the subject yet, but I'll send out and let you guys know. Thank you again so much and have a great rest of the afternoon.